Oh, there is our Alex Rossi. He's in the room.
Secretary Rubio, Sky News. Do you think you'll get a ceasefire?
Quite extraordinary here. Pictures inside the room. Marco Rubio, you saw there. Alex Rossi trying to pose a question to him, sitting next to Mike Waltz. It looks like from these pictures that it's the US sitting opposite only one side. I'm not quite sure who's at the table with them. There's obviously some of their Saudi hosts at the head of the table. But it looked like it was the US on one side of the table and others on the... Here is Alex. I don't know if Alex can hear us. If Alex can hear us, then it'd be great to get an update of the vibe he felt in the room. I don't think he can. Quite rare pictures here inside a Saudi palace. Maybe Alex can hear us now. If you can, Alex, then do give us an update on the vibe in the room there. We caught the end of it, and obviously you tried to ask Marco Rubio a question. Talk us through what you saw there in the room, if you can hear us, Alex.
Well, the officials were all there. Sorry, we're just having to re-rig Sorry, I'm just putting my earpiece back in now. We're just being moved out of where the delegates are. You can see there, it was really just a photo opportunity to show that these talks are starting. President Zelensky, of course, is not there. He was in Saudi Arabia yesterday to meet the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. But in the room was the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who is leading the delegation for the Americans. We also saw Andrei Yermak, who's the President's Chief of Staff on the Ukrainian side, joined by the Defense Minister, the Foreign Minister as well. Steve Witkoff's in there as well, the Middle East envoy for the United States, really seen as a sort of chief negotiator for the Trump administration, and Mike Waltz, the National Security advisor. Now, I think they all look fairly stern-faced around the table, no questions at all. They didn't want to countenance any of that. We were told not to ask questions before we went in, but I think they are optimistic that they can see what the shape of a ceasefire deal looks like in time. So really it's a way of exploring the potentials really for further negotiations. That's the aim of it. Now, the background, of course, for all of this is also for the Ukrainians to try and mend the relationship with the United States. We saw that disastrous meeting inside the Oval Office, that really quite abrasive, uncomfortable diplomatic spat between Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, the Vice President, and then on the other side, Volodymyr Zelensky. From the Ukrainian side, they want to try and mend the relationship, which will mean, I think, from the Americans' perspective, that showing that they are serious about peace negotiations. They are going to, I think, listening to the language from the Americans, have to really talk quite seriously about making concessions. Now, that may be territorial concessions. More than likely, it will be. What that will all look like, the Americans say they're not going there with any preconceived notions of what it should look like, but they really want to try and figure out what the Ukrainian position is. So that's where these talks are. If they go away with all of that at the end of the day, I think they will deem them a success. So we should hopefully understand what the shape of a ceasefire negotiation will look like. The Ukrainians also, of course, in terms of mending the relationship, they want to get a bit more clarity on the sharing of military intelligence. That was paused after that disastrous meeting with Donald Trump. Also military aid as well. They want to try and get that restarted as well, because they say that the consequences for Ukraine inside Ukraine have been fairly catastrophic since all of that was stopped. So that's the kind of flavour of what we're seeing here. Taking place in the port city of Jeddah. We are in, I'll just show you here. We're in the port city of Jeddah. This is the entrance into where the delegation are meeting at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Jeddah has been chosen, Saudi Arabia has been chosen because it's a neutral venue, seen as somewhere that can sort of balance the views of both countries. It has strong relations with the Russians and also the Americans as well. Russia, of course, is not present at these talks, and at the moment it's far from clear whether they are prepared to make any concessions at all.